The New York Times has an article about the continuing authoritarianism in Erdogan's Turkey. Apparently, the government decided to go all out against the press. They say a Turkish court handed down a long-awaited judgment against two prominent journalists on Friday, sentencing them to more than 5 years in prison for releasing state secrets. The verdict came just hours after one of the journalists narrowly escaped an attack by a gunman in front of the courthouse. By the way, I wonder who sent that gunman. The two journalists, Can Dündar and Erdem Gül, were accused of espionage and attempting to topple the government through their reporting about weapons shipments by Turkey's spy agency to rebels opposed to the government of President Bashar al-Assad of Syria. Okay, now, why is this such a big deal? Well, RT explains here in an exclusive that they released on March 4th, quote, Turkey protects and supplies al-Nusra camps at its border. And this was told by people on the ground, Kurds, to RT. And they have, a lot of evidence of this, and it's been proven at this point. Indeed, Turkey is arming and supplying al-Nusra in Syria to fight Assad. What's another name for al-Nusra? Al-Qaeda in Syria. The government of Turkey is arming and supplying Al-Qaeda. So you have Turkish journalists who are like, we got to release this story, the story that shows that Turkey is arming and supplying some Syrian rebels who are jihadists. We got to release this story. And what do? They lock them up. First of all, there was an assassination attempt tried. Again, I wonder who sent those people to do the assassination attempt. Question mark. But then they lock them up. They say, oh, you're doing espionage and you're attempting to topple the government. No, they're literally just reporting on the facts of what you're doing. In many ways, this reminds me of Edward Snowden. Because Edward Snowden's like, oh, hey, by the way, I read the Constitution. The Fourth Amendment says we need to protect people from unreasonable searches and seizures, and if the government searches, they need a specific warrant describing the specific things they're looking for. Well, Edward Snowden goes, hey, everybody's getting their shit spied on. This is wildly violating the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution. And what happens? The government tries to crack down on him. So it's not like we need to crack down on the people who are really violating the Constitution and therefore American law. They're saying, no, crack down on the person who leaked the facts that the government is doing that. Same thing here. Crack down on the journalists who released the facts that the Turkish government is in bed with Al-Qaeda and jihadists. God, how dare you release that secret that makes us look bad? No. How dare you do the thing that makes you look bad? You need to fix your shit. They did nothing wrong. They're doing their job. Unbelievable. Erdogan in Turkey has turned Turkey away from secularism, away from democracy, and towards fundamentalism in a stunning fashion. Okay, this is the guy who has kids locked up for tearing down posters of him. This is the guy who had people punished when a husband told on his wife because his wife turned the TV channel anytime she saw Erdogan come on. Can't have that. So he went to the government and complained. They're punishing that woman. People get locked up for making social media posts that make fun of Erdogan. He literally says free speech doesn't include insults. Yeah, it does, bitch. That's kind of why it's free speech. Free speech. The guy is thin-skinned, he's idiotic, he's authoritarian, and he has a complete and utter lockdown on a country, and now he's arming Al-Qaeda. That's a recipe for disaster. So, in many ways, R.I.P. Turkey.